Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Bot Talk. We are going to be looking at another deck. We are going to be looking at Private Pteraxadon, Raider Spinister, and Autobot Hound. This Hound is from Wave 1 Common Hound. So this is what I'm calling Whirly Bots right now. I will probably think of a much better name later on down the road. This is version 2 after the match video, Wars of Cybertron. This is what I took from it and learned from that video and that match and made a revised version. This is now a white deck, very similar to the Mirage deck that I played against. I took it away from orange and made it a almost pure white deck. There is a little bit of blue and a little bit of black to be able to get push damage through, but it is mostly a white deck. We are a full 25 stars. We have Pteraxadon, who is a Battle Master of Melee. He's a 390. He only has his Battle Master ability. We have Raider Spinister, who's a helicopter and ranged. He is a 313-1. He has 2 weapon slots, and while this has a Battle Master upgrade, it gets +3 attack. And we have Hound, who is a truck in melee, who is a 14-12-1. We'll transform everybody. And we'll work backwards. So Hound is now melee. He is a 14-12-2, a 4-12-2. What the ability says, when this attacker defends and you flip your first white this turn, this gets +1/+1, +1 attack and +1 defense till the end of turn. He's acute reflexes on a character. He goes wonderfully in this deck. If you equip an acute reflex on him, he becomes a +2/+2, making him a 6/4 on the attack and the defense. I dubbed him Super Hound, as you'll see in a video later on. Spinister is range. He becomes a 413-1. He still has 2 weapon slots. And when you flip to this mode, one of your Battle Master characters gets +3 until the end of +3 attack until the end of turn. And then we have Binary Edge Scythe, which is Pteraxadon's weapon mode. That says when the upgraded character attacks and you flip at least 2 white pits, the defender's base defense becomes 0 this battle. And if he would leave the field, put him in your KO pile, he gives +3 attack. So the whole point of the deck is to buff up Hound and make him as beefy as possible. Hound is actually, despite the deck trying to focus on these two and wiping out as much defense as possible for hitting the highest possible attack, with you being around a roughly 9 attack when he's in helicopter form with the Battle Master. The real backbone of the deck and the real MVP is actually Hound. Hound on his own is already acute reflexes. If you put acute reflex on him, like I said, he becomes a 6/4, which is nothing to sneeze at. On the attack, that's okay, but a 4 defense character is nothing short of fantastic. And it's very much needed in this deck where you're flipping, for the most part, whites. Spinister is very fragile, so I do leave him for last to attack. And I flip him at the beginning of the turn, so Pteraxadon gets +3, making him a 6. At the end of the turn, when he attacks, I flip him back into helicopter mode so I can repeat. Hound really doesn't flip too much unless you absolutely need card draw, because when he flips into Jeep mode, you can pitch a white and draw 2. Overall, this is probably my favorite lineup for this. If there's other variations on, I don't know about it. I'm pretty comfortable with 3 wide. Normally I play 4 wides, but I'm getting more and more comfortable with 3 wide decks. And right now, this is one of my favorite of the new stuff that the new set enabled. I've been testing this. I just got done testing this with Mike, who you'll be seeing on the channel. Mike was playing Nightbird, Greenlight, Hot Rod, Safeguard. It went 2-1 in my favor. The match was very, very close. Be sure to check out that video once it drops. And then we will move right on into the battle cards. So as I said, this is a purely white deck. We are running 3 copies of Sturdy Javelin. We increase it to to 1.5 so you guys can read it. And then go even closer. So, Sturdy Javelin. White Pip. While this is on a melee character, it gives +2. While this is on a ranged character, and it attacks, I can scrap it and deal 2 damage to an enemy. So, we can, if we get it early enough game, we put on Pteraxadon to make him a 5 attack. That's a decent sized harasser for a Battle Master. If we put it on Spinister, we do a little bit of burn damage when he swings. On top of his already going to be impressive, hopefully, 9 attack via his helicopter form. And around mid to late game, I do like putting this on Prow because it makes Prow, I think, a 4, a 6, then his +2, and 8, which is, he becomes an 8-4 with this. So that's really, really well done. So I do like that. Next up, we have 3 copies of Handheld Blaster, and lo and behold, I put this in here not just to make it put some double blues. We need to be able to flip as much white as possible for Pteraxadon, and we need to be able to be sure we can hit those white pips with Hound. So the bold on here actually does come into play. So we're putting it not only for the bold 2, or the bold 1, but the 2 double blue pips, because we are, well, not exactly fragile. If you know what you're doing, Spinister is still 1 defense, and while Hound can get up there, a little bit of extra defense doesn't hurt anybody. Next up, we're running 2 copies of Piercing Blaster. This is just going to give us another 2 whites, and this gives us Pierce 3, which we can put on Spinister. We can put on Pteraxadon to make her, or it, I don't know what the gender of Pteraxadon is. I'll say her because of Power Rangers. Pteraxadon being a 3 Pierce 3, so you're guaranteed 3 damage every time, so that makes her a good harasser. Hound being 4 Pierce 3 is not too bad, and then becoming a 6 Pierce 3, you're still being able to deal half your damage. So pretty good. I like it. 3 copies of Adaptive Armor. This is our only other blue in the deck, aside from Handheld Blaster. It's a blue, and it gives us +2 defense every time we flip a white pip. We're going to be hitting that very often. This will let us keep Spinister out on the field, making him a 3, which isn't too bad. If you combine it on Hound with Acute Reflexes, Hound becomes a 6 defense, or a 6 attack, 6 defense character, and that's nothing to sneeze at. So that's the reason it's in here. I mostly stick it on Hound just for that 6 defense, because I am making them make bad choices, because I usually swing with Spinister last. So the first swing's Pteraxadon, she'll get hit, usually drop to 5 or 4, and then I swing with Hound. And then they got to make that choice. Well, do I want to hit Hound? Do I want to hit Pteraxadon? And then because of this, if it's on him at the time, and I have the right cards in the right scenario, all this is chance-based, mind you. It's a 6 defense versus a Battle Master that they don't want to put on Spinister right away. So I'm making them play suboptimally the best I can. Next, we're running 3 copies of Force Field. Force Field is another armor that lets us take big beats and turn it into little dings. This did come into play during the match. Spinister was going to take 8, dropped him down to 4, put me only to 8. I did not want to drop down to 5 in the first swing of the game. Well, not the first swing of the game, but the first time Spinister was attacked. So there was that. It's also just another white pip, another good armor. We can put it on Pteraxadon when we keep her in the play, but I really don't want to. Hound, I really want to put adaptive armor on it, so we're sticking to playing this solely on Spinister. We are running 3 copies of Increased Durability. I want to be able to stick this on Spinister. I am also thinking about changing this to Erratic Energy Grenade, so I can stick it on Pteraxadon a little bit more, and then let it just blow up and then take care of people with safeguard. Yes, I'll be damaging my own people, but it drops Hound down to 10, it drops Pteraxadon or Spinister down to 3. And mid-game, where I really need Pteraxadon in her Scythe mode, I see it as comparable, so I'm kind of flip-flopping. The Erratic Energy Grenades will more than likely be in the sideboard, replacing these. But I do like these because these can buff up Hound, these can buff up Spinister. I didn't get to play them in the match, unfortunately. I kept checking them. It just happens. But this is still very good. Next up, we got 3 copies of Medic Field. God, I love this card. We're playing 2 of it. I didn't get to play it. It didn't come in. I didn't get to. I always kept checking it. It never came to hand. My realistic thought was I can put this on Hound because he gets so buffed so quick and make him safeguard 3. Another idea is to put this on Spinister and heal. I may up this to a 3 and may downgrade the black pips just down to 5 as opposed to 6, just so I can bump this up to a 3 so I have a greater chance of seeing it. The idea is to give Hound or Spinister safeguard as quickly as possible. Spinner rims. We're running 3 copies of these. We need these on Spinister to be able to make sure we get Pteraxadon's ability. Despite the fact that this is a very, very heavy white deck, I believe this is a 28 white deck card. Yeah, 28 whites and then 6 blues and 6 blacks. So yeah, so we can still flip no whites. It is possible. It did happen in the match video, which will be posted later or first. I haven't decided which. I just do need these. I need these on Hound. Well, Hound can't do it because Hound will have acute reflexes. But I do need these on Spinister to ensure that I'm able to hit Pteraxadon. Actually, I may drop this down to a 2 since he only has 1 target and put in the other medic. Learning as I film. Okay, another big MVP card, and that is Acute Reflexes. Acute Reflexes is Hound's ability, plus Focus 1. So, Focus 1, before flipping battle card, before flipping cards from battling, look at the top card of your deck, you may scrap it. When this upgraded character battles, you flip at least 1 white, it gets +1/+1. I love sticking this on Hound. I love this card. This is such a good card. Stick it on Hound, you make him a +2/+2. You stick on Spinister, he becomes a 5/2. He needs that defense. I'm honestly kind of surprised he's a little weak. He's weak in defense in helicopter form. Usually in alt mode, they're a bit more beefier in defense. Then again, Hound's beefier in defense in bot mode. This deck is weird. As I said, you put 2 acute reflexes. You put acute reflex on Hound, he becomes Super Hound. Getting +2/+2 is nothing to sneeze at. It is very, very dangerous. You can see in the video. 2 copies of Targeting Drone. I put this in there for the Pierce 1. And it says when it's scrap an enemy utility. That can come to play. I did see scenarios where it would. However, my opponent just decided to scrap other things, knowing I would scrap their utilities in return. But if they ever gave me a choice, I would scrap it just to be able to scrap one of their utilities. Plus, it's a white pip, so I can pick it up. Next up, we're playing 3 copies of Designated Target. We are a 3-wide deck, but that does not mean I cannot make it a 3-wide against a 2-tall. This does give all my characters +2. +2 Pierce. And it's a double black pit, meaning it's 4 Pierce, +2 Pierce, 1 flipped. In the most ideal scenario, I play 1 and then I flip 1, making it Pierce 4. But this is needed because we are somewhat defensive. We are trying to push as much damage as possible. We do need the Pierce to be able to get through the solid blue decks. Regardless of how high my attack can get, I do need to be able to trample my way through them. We are also running 3 copies of Head-On Collision. This is almost played exclusively for Spinister, but once Spinister gets into alt mode with Pteraxadon Scythe, you're facing down 12 damage, and being able to wipe their defense clean, say for pit flips, really puts a hamper in things. I believe you see in one of the matches me one-shotting a full health Hot Rod with this combo. I really can't say too much other than it's needed. It can be used for Hound. I really don't like flipping Hound unless I have a low hand size and I don't have the next card we're about to talk about to draw. I mean, making Hound in Jeep form a 7 is not too bad, but really, Head-On Collision shines a whole lot better with Spinister. Next up, we're running 3 copies of Backup Plan. This lets me scrap my hand and draw 3. This really helps. This lets me dig, and I do need to dig as much as possible for certain things to make sure Spinister stays around longer, or to make sure I can get acute reflexes on Hound as fast as possible. I did toy with the idea of Pep Talk and Inspiring Leadership, but those were to take up too many more white slots, and this is not a bad card to have. Sometimes I just get clogged with a lot of utilities that I don't need to put on people, or I need to dig for like Quartermaster or acute reflexes or Head-On Collision, and this gives me what I need. My hand is not too entirely important in this deck, so I don't mind checking it for a fresh 3. We're running 2 copies of Surprise Attack. This lets us get Pierce 3. It's another white. That's pretty much the only reason I put in the deck, is more the ability to give Pierce. And then finally 2 copies of Quartermaster. Again, I may bump this up to 3 just so I'll be able to see it more often. Between Hound and Backup Plan, I can dig pretty well. Came to me in some pretty clutch times. It just lets me get Pteraxadon back. Should Spinister be shot down, then Hound gets the axe, and then Hound goes to town. And guys, that is a deck of Whirlybots. Shrink. There we go. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit like, hit subscribe, leave comments. I will be working on other decks. If you guys want to see what my deck ratios are like, as always, hit up Fortress Maximus. They are an awesome site for deck building. I have been using to keep track of all my stuff and all my decks and look at the ratios and how to bend them more favorably. They have been an asset. I really enjoy their site. And I will see you guys next time on Bot Talk or Wars of Cybertron, and all hail Megatron.